good for America or the world.
Okay, so let's talk about the politics of all of this with our political analyst, Brian Sobel. What did you make of the president's case? Did he make a good one today?
Well, I thought he laid out a case for American jobs. He stuck with his campaign promise to pull out. He did it after consultation with a lot of people, but we're left with the optics of leaving an agreement that has been signed on to by 195 countries.
The fact, though, that he said this did come down to jobs, what does the average sort of American think when they look at this? Do they look at the job aspect, or do they look at, okay, I want a healthy world, a healthy planet for my kids and my grandkids?
Probably the latter, if they are already employed and they live in a part of the country like California where we already have pretty aggressive emission standards and those sorts of things. They would break probably towards the environmental argument as opposed to the jobs argument. But in many places where Donald Trump was successful, it was about jobs.
And that is what he focused on today. And he said that this agreement has led to the loss and will lead to the loss of more American jobs to, let's say, China and India. Is that, in fact, what's been happening?
Well, here's the issue, is that this is a non-binding, always was a non-binding agreement. So, and tied to countries' GNP. In both China and India's case, would have required a jump in their GNP, and who knows whether they could have reached their goals. So this agreement means that nothing really was going to happen in China for many, many years. Another world's leading polluter in terms of greenhouse gas. Same with India and same with some of these other countries. So when you get into the details of the accord, there weren't a lot of restrictions. Countries were volunteering to do the right thing. The question is, will the United States move ahead, Heather, and do what it's been doing, which is cleaning its water, cleaning its air, and that sort of thing, and will individual states do it? And whether we're in the accord or not, whether we'll move ahead and do all these things? And the answer is probably yes.
And that is something that the president did say today. He said America will have the cleanest air, will have the cleanest water. But how does he accomplish that? And as we're looking at the varying responses and reaction coming in from people all across the country and world today.
Well, I think people are very upset because we've left this large body of volunteer nations who are trying to do the right thing. Whether they're forced to do the right thing is in the detail of this thing. And so that's what they're upset with the president about. And I think the president falls back on his campaign statement that, hey, and he said it today, I report to the voters in Pittsburgh, not in Paris.
Right. Let's talk about moving forward. This isn't something that happens immediately.
No.
This is going to take several years.
Right.
He said today that he wants to renegotiate.
Yes.
But we heard from world leaders who said, nah, we reject that idea. How effective do you think he will be at renegotiating a deal that will be beneficial in his eyes to the United States?
Well, world leaders, after they absorb all of this, will realize that America is the one country putting real money into this deal for those countries that can't afford it on their own. We've already put in $1 billion. Other countries have put in nothing. So eventually, I think everybody will talk again, and the president made it very clear that what he wants to do is to renegotiate the deal. And that sounds fairly familiar, doesn't it? He's talked about renegotiating every deal because he thinks